Hello, everyone. I want to welcome you to another episode of the Randy Rex Show, bitch. So, welcome to the Randy Rex Show. We're going to get into the latest episode of Survivor here in a minute. But of course, I just want to take a minute and talk to you all about what else I'm watching on TV. So I mentioned DTF, St. Louis with Jason Bateman, Linda Cardellini, and of course, Hopper, Thunderbolt himself, David Harbour. I love this show, and it is getting deeper and deeper into this murder mystery. We are 4 episodes into the 7 episode series, limited series. I don't know, probably limited series. But yeah, it is about a murder, and I don't want to spoil anything, but it is well worth the watch. We're also watching Fear Factor. Well, we were watching it. Congratulations to Ethan, the winner of the very first season of Fear Factor House of Fear. I'm very curious to see if it'll be back. They showed a preview of kind of like a spin off show. So technically, it's not House of Fear, but we'll see. I'm probably not going to watch the spin off show. And even if it does get renewed, I'm probably not going to watch season 2 of Fear Factor House of Fear because of how gross it was. Me and my cousins really were repeatedly commenting on how, like, how is this fear driven? This is just gross. This is just disgusting. This is just painful to watch, painful for the contestants. I guess pain is a fear, but it was just beyond what we were used to in the original series, and it took us way out of just the whole vibe. It was too much. It was too intense. But still, hats off to you, Ethan, you little cutie patootie. We're also watching Extracted. That show is getting pretty good. I believe it's still down to the final 5. We're waiting on the next episode to come out, but I am really loving everything we're getting out of Extracted this season. We're also watching House of Villains. I have yet to see the new episode, so I don't know if Paul and Tyson are still in it, but I hope they are. The last time I watched, Paul just missed being eliminated, banished, evicted, whatever they call it on that show. The Comeback, another great HBO series. The first episode of that came out. Another episode is coming out tomorrow. I can't wait. I love everything that they do on that show. I love everything they do with it and with the characters. It's just such a well written, well put together show that you just laugh when you don't expect that you would laugh. They catch you off guard, and it's so subtle and so smart. Lisa Kudrow is such a gem. So I'm enjoying every single second I can of that. There's also another HBO show on right now. So we talked about DTF St. Louis. We talked about The Comeback, but The Pit. I don't feel like a lot of people talk about The Pit. I love it. I know that I did hear some people kind of criticizing this season is not necessarily being up to par with the first season all throughout, but I've enjoyed it all throughout. I have to say, there are some things where I do feel like I get lost sometimes with some of the characters. I'm like, wait, do we ever get a resolution for that one character? Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. It's me, Randy. I am coming to you live from an undisclosed location, but Let's talk Survivor. A lot has been going on with Survivor. So the episode was a pretty good episode, all things considered. And I say that wholeheartedly because if you are in the fandom, you're aware that it has become a critique, a criticism of the season that the representation of women is just abysmal. And of course, I hate that. Of course, I automatically want there to be a woman winner of the season. And there's so much out there to track how many confessionals each survivor player has received so far. And it's pretty sad to see a lot of the women so low and ultimately being under edited. So in this episode, we start off with the Vatu tribe coming back from tribal, and Christian and Emily and Stephanie did a blindside on Angelina, Ozzy, and Mike by voting out Mike. Ozzy is pissed. Angelina is pissed. She's kind of just reserved to herself. We don't really hear from her or Emily. Stephanie speaks up a little bit, and Ozzy kind of just doesn't really engage with her too much. He's more so just ranting and raving about how angry he is that Christian is gone, this potential ally that he had, and or that Mike is gone. And Christian is sitting here telling us how he wonders if Ozzy is looking at him and seeing Cochran because he is thinking about when Cochran kind of did the same thing to him way back when in South Pacific. And, you know, there's this beautifully edited scene where we see Cochran tell him that something, and then we see Christian literally tell him the same exact thing. So it's pretty ironic. And Christian is spot on the nose with that. So we get the Survivor intro, which I love. I love seeing it every episode. Then we go back to Vatu. We check in with Ozzy the next morning. I think it's like day 10. He's meditating on the beach and he's telling us that he's looking at the waves and thinking about how, you know, it relates to him and how he needs to kind of just be more like the waves and go with the flow. And then Christian comes and he goes to Christian and they kind of reunite and they seem to make amends. Then we see Ozzy check in with Stephanie. Stephanie gets a confessional, surprisingly, and we hear her tell us how Ozzy is pissed, but that she understands because everyone lied to him and she wants to lock in with him. And those two do seem like they are lock in step. I think that they're going to play very closely and very tight together throughout the rest of this game. Then we go into the Sela tribe. So the Vatu and the Sela tribe are pretty much the stars of this episode. So if you haven't seen the episode, if you don't watch the episode and you just check out my recaps to catch up with the season, spoiler alerts, Kahlo, who we're going to talk about next, wins the tribal. And if you are in the Survivor world and you're aware of what's going on, you know that this episode is a double elimination. So the three tribes are going to go into an immunity challenge, and the first and only the first tribe that wins is going to be safe, and the other two go to tribal. Those two being Vatu and Sela. So we're getting kind of the setup here in the Sela tribe. So as Jonathan and Charlie are talking to Camilla, they're like, you know, it's the four of us, so it has to be either Cirie, Rizzo, or Devins. And they talk about how Cirie is dangerous. So they kind of just decide on Rizzo. And Jonathan goes to Devins and tells him that he's pretty much safe. Then we see Jonathan and Charlie go to Dee about the situation. She's the other Kahlo member in this tribe. And she's like, yeah, that's fine. We can go for Rizzo. It is what it is. And then she tells us, like, no, I don't want to go with that plan. She goes to Rizzo and she's like, look, you need me. I need you. They're going to go after you because you're the unknown. They're going to go after me because I'm the only winner. Or I'm a winner. And then Rizzo's like, you're the only winner left. So they kind of form a bond, and they're like, we can work with Cirie, we can work with Camilla, we can make this work. So Rizzo is like on cloud nine. He is blowing up the confessionals, talking about how he's so amazing and he's gonna go to Cirie and he's gonna get Cirie on board, and he does. And also, Rizzo tells Dee about the Billie Eilish boomerang idol, how it works, and that he got it from someone on a different tribe. We have a cute little moment with Aubrey and Genevieve, our two favorite queens, going at it at the moment, where Aubrey's like, it's day 10. Can you believe we made it to day 10? 10 days with each other, Genevieve. And Genevieve's just like, Aubrey tells us, she's really bummed out the fact that Genevieve doesn't want her on the same beach as her because she has so much respect for Genevieve. Of course, I'm an Aubrey stan, so you know whose side I'm on, even though I do love you, Genevieve. um, we see Coach in such a beautiful moment, in a beautiful Coach scene where he talks to Joe and tells him he's his number one, and he gives him the nickname of the something about a bell. I forgot. I forget. I can't believe I'm forgetting their nicknames, but because it always rings true. It has to do with some sort of like Japanese philosophy that he studied. And then he tells Colby that his nickname is like the oak wood, the oak some something I forget, but it's like has to do with oak and wood, and like the woods, and like taking care of the wood. I don't know, but it was pretty cool. It was sweet. They had their little alliance of the honor, integrity, that whole thing that Joe was known for in 48, all of that stuff that Coach talked about, all of the stuff that Kobe talks about. They're all about that stuff. Then we get Aubrey talking about how she needs to find some footing in this game, and she goes to Coach and she's like, I need a lifeline, and he throws it, and he's like, you know what, like when you're yourself, people come to you like that. And he's like, it feels great to actually be myself finally. So we go back to the Sela camp, and we see Charlie. It looked like he woke up Rizzo in the morning, but maybe Rizzo was already waking up. It was early in the morning, and he starts to talk to him about the Billie Eilish boomerang idol and who else he's told about it. And Rizzo's like, I told Dee about it, and that's it. Rizzo just found this odd and off-putting where I've heard that Charlie is known in his season to have like had those meetings first thing in the morning with his tribe. So like that was his thing where like the first conversation in the morning is like the most true and the one you can most rely on. So these early morning conversations are like a normal thing for Charlie, where for Rizzo this is off-putting. But even more so than that, so Rizzo asked Charlie, did you tell anybody? Charlie said, yeah, well, I went up to Jonathan and he told me he just talked to you and it looked like he knew, so I told him. And Rizzo's like, oh, okay. This just sets Rizzo off. And funnily enough, he does say something where he's like, what does it say, stupid? Or he says something, what does it say? Something like that, like stupid or, ignorant or moron on his forehead other than Survivor 50 because he had his buff right there. And then Rizzo goes to Dee and tells him this and how he doesn't like Charlie and he wants Charlie out and he thinks he's sneaky. He thinks he's sneaky. Dee agrees. Dee tells us she thought that he was going to be the most dangerous player out here, but he's the stupidest player out here. Cirie tells us she is thinking that she was on the outs and on the bottom, but that Rizzo was coming through for her right now. talking about this 4-person alliance in this tribe of 7 with him, Dee, and Camilla, and she is all aboard getting Charlie out. Then we get the immunity challenge where Tiffany has an amazing save for the Kahlo tribe and really brings them to the win. It's not just her, obviously, but like the tribe was in last place. And then because of not just Tiffany, but other people kind of making up time, they ultimately win. But Tiffany was amazing on those ropes, the way she lassoed them off of those bags. So before tribal, we obviously check in with the 2 tribes that lost. So first we check in with the Sela tribe, and Rizzo says that he has kind of been checking off everything that he needs to do to lock in this alliance and get out Charlie, Operation Bad Blood. The last thing he needs to do on his checklist is talk with Camilla. So he tells Camilla about the Billie Eilish boomerang idol, tells him about Charlie and how they want to get Charlie out. Now, he also tells her how Kyle told him to work with Camilla just as he was leaving the game and that they were working closely together, yada, yada, yada. Camilla doesn't necessarily buy it, but we'll have to see if she ultimately sides with Charlie or Rizzo here when we get to Tribal Council. So the funny part about this is next we hear from Charlie. And he's like, I want to get in with Camilla and make sure I tell her what Rizzo has told me so she doesn't find out, I know, and then I don't seem like a trustworthy alliance member. So he goes to her and tells her about it. She pretends like she's just finding out, but Rizzo just told her. And we've heard this same thing from Dee earlier in the episode where it's like they think he plays too close to his vest, and they don't think he's like too like outward as a alliance member, so they don't really feel like they can trust him. They just feel like he's too cagey and too like secretive to really be deep in with him. And so when they do go to tribal, Charlie gets blindsided. It's a vote of 3 versus 4, and the 3 votes for Rizzo, obviously one came from Charlie, one came from Jonathan, and the other is Devins. So Jonathan and Devins are left on the outs of that tribe and out of that vote. Before they go to tribal, though, we do see Rizzo still working his magic, and he's been locking in with Dee, he's been locking in with Camilla and Cirie, and he just keeps continuing to do that here when he tells Cirie that he has the Billie Eilish boomerang idol. She tells him that she has an extra vote. She tells him they're married now in the game. So this is a big deal, not just for Rizzo and Cirie in Survivor 50, but just in general. Like it's we know how vicious and just like a badass player Cirie is. And she's like racking up like soldiers. And like I feel bad for all of my other favorites because she's like a lethal player. And like this is just like giving her more chinks, like not chinks, more like armor, more ammunition, more things to work with, more resources. So this is a big deal. Also, before they vote out Charlie, we hear from Camilla telling us that she is the deciding factor in who gets to go home today, Rizzo or Charlie. And it's shown in the vote. It's a 3-4 vote. She could have easily voted out Rizzo and he would be gone. Sadly, in the Vatu tribe, Christian, Stephanie, Ozzy, and Emily all vote out Angelina, and Angelina voted for Stephanie, but obviously she's out of the game. So that is 2 of our David versus Goliath people out, leaving Christian standing all by himself. Next week, we see an exciting preview about a merge or some sort of a merge coming up, and 17 people on the same beach. So this is very exciting. I hope that some of the people that were potentially in danger the people that I love, of course, are gonna be able to find some sort of safety now or hide a little bit more now that this huge thing is about to happen. This is not the best place for this, as I am known for being very expressive. But it's our buddy Galactus. He's a big guy. Haven't really got anything new, but there's that. Anyway, I love Survivor. I want to see more from the women. I want to see more from the gays. Thank you. Good night.